Well, Destiny folks, we are 1 week away from the official release of ARH8. That's right, we'll be able to see the whole set in about a week, probably a little less than that with, time zones and all that, which is super exciting. So today I want to go through all the spoilers to date. This will be the final spoiler recap episode because by the time we're back, it's out. And we go through this tonight. There's some doozies. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, Star Wars Destiny folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando and the Commando cast. As I said, this will be the last spoiler update before the official release of ARH8, Awaiting Fates. I feel like we are all collectively awaiting our fate for ARH8 because this is going to be awesome. Now, just again, throwing up the reminder here that the release is April 19th. Okay, so next Friday, 1 week away from the time of releasing this. And then the 27th of April, which is obviously not the fall. Usually it releases and we have the release party that weekend. They're doing it different, okay, which is fine. But do note that that's April 27th. So you actually have quite a bit, right? Quite a bit of time to plan out your stuff, right? So that'll be at 10 a.m. Eastern, and it's free, as it usually has been. All right, so tonight, like I said, I wanted to go through the second wave of spoilers today, right? We went through this like 3 weeks ago. I think we looked at all of the current spoilers, but without further ado, let's start. We are going in numerical order of the cards that have been spoiled since the last time. Okay, so that starts us off with Force Choke. This card is, I said there were some doozies. This is one of them, but definitely not the most interesting and coolest. All right, so this is a 2-drop villain ability. Okay, 2 melee, 1 discard, 2 discard for an indirect, disrupt, resource, and a blank. Blue character only, no surprise there. Before a die is turned to a side showing a blank, you may exhaust this upgrade to remove that die instead. All right, so when you read this, right, I'll go ahead and throw up Dooku, right? So you're not turning the die and removing it. It doesn't get turned, you're removing it instead. So, right, in terms of Dooku, there's where the procs are, okay? This is really interesting. The die itself is pretty good, right, for a 2-drop ability. I think this sees quite a bit of play. I think. So, I mean, we'll obviously see once we see the rest of the set, but this seems pretty darn good. All right, we have Enoch, Captain of the Guard. I think it's Enoch. I think. Enosh, I think it's Enoch. So Enoch, Captain of the Guard. I have a hard time not thinking eunuch when I look at him, but totally different thing, all right? So he's a 9/12 villain guard trooper. Okay, so trooper is extremely, extremely relevant. Extremely relevant, right, in terms of what we're going to be looking at, okay, because of a card that I think is absolutely phenomenal, which is the Night Troopers, okay? Very relevant, okay? So 9/12 with 10 health, that's pretty good. 2 gun, 3 indirect for 1, okay? 1 focus, 1 disrupt, a special, and a blank. After one of your character effects defeats an opponent's character, this character may gain 1 of its character dice. And it's one of your effects. So it doesn't, it's not just the traditional way of killing characters. It doesn't have to be card from hand, anything like that. Okay, so after one of your effects. Special, gain 1 resource or roll a die on a red upgrade or support you control with a cost of 3 or less into your pool. Okay, so with the Night Trooper, right, you see the obvious synergy there with the Night Troopers of if Enoch is left alive, like let's say you lose your big, one of your bigs dies, went to a Night Trooper, roll that in, okay, and this character may gain 1 of its character dice. So if like this is like, and this card is there's a lot of layers on this card in terms of like meta calls and stopping like the go wide decks. This is really cool. And again, the trooper is relevant. I mean, if he goes down, are you moving his die? I mean, why wouldn't you? Right? Why wouldn't you? Okay. All right. So I said there was doozies. This is a doozy, and I think this is a doozy and a half. I saw this and I was like, holy shnikes. So this is Moff Gideon, the Remnant Warlord. So he's a 1518, okay, 14 health. That 18 price point is important, right? Because there's 12s out there, right? 2 gun, 2 melee, 2 discard, 2 shield, 2 resource, and a blank with resilience. After a card is discarded from an opponent's hand by a die or card effect, deal 1 indirect damage to that opponent. Okay, so let's read that again. After a card is discarded from an opponent's hand by a die or card effect. That could be their own effect, right? There is stuff out there that's like discard a card 2. I believe that would proc here. Deal 1 indirect damage to that opponent. Okay. Power action. Resolve 1 of your dice showing damage, increasing its value by 1 if you have more cards in hand than an opponent. Okay. So on the surface, he reads like a discard type S hero. Only has 1. He has a 2 discard. He has a singular discard side, but it's a 2 discard. Okay, so he in himself is not necessarily a mill hero. Sorry, a hero character. Excuse me. Obviously not a hero. But you get what I'm laying down here, right? He's going to have to be paired with somebody, I think, to do that. But again, maybe, if they just have less cards than you. But you see what I'm saying, right? So you're trying to get them to discard so you can deal the indirect, and then you can resolve 1 of your dice for more, right? That's the ideal case. But the point is, when he's on the table, they have to count the cards. They have to manage their hand so that they don't turn all this stuff on. And again, I'm not talking about the discard particularly, but I am talking about letting them just resolve die for more. Okay? All right. Assume I know everything. That was my best Gideon there. Assume I know everything. Spot a red character, so it's 1 drop. Spot a red character, discard cards from an opponent's hand equal to the number of different damage symbols showing on your dice. What? Whoa. Okay, I like it. Seems to work. Fits right in with the card we just saw. The Electro Staff. Okay, so this is a reuse die, which I like a lot. So it's a 2 drop. +1, +2, +3, disrupts, shield, blank. I believe the Electro Staff, actually I'm positive that it was from the 3rd set, right? Because I remember it being right there, Empire War, I remember it being right there alongside Mace Windu. Okay, but, and I just mean in the set, right? Okay, I think it actually maybe got spoiled in maybe the same article that Mace Windu did, or right around the same time, either way. Ambush and redeploy. Okay. Well, this upgrade is on Moff Gideon or on a guard, so Enoch, right? You may resolve this die as if it did not have a modifier. Okay, this also, right, if you look at Gideon and Enoch, and then you consider this, you potentially have 3 damage sides out there, 3 different damage sides out there. This whole story is really starting to paint itself in terms of this archetype here. Or this particular build. Okay. Right, now we get into another doozy. I think this card's actually really, really, really cool. I'm going to do a whole separate episode on it. So I don't want to necessarily spend too much time on it, but why not spend time on it? So this is a 12-11. I did not say that incorrectly. 12-11 with 11 health. Gets cheaper as he gets bigger. So let's explain why. After setup, if the character's elite, defeat it unless you spend a resource. You start with a resource. You start down a resource. Okay. 3 gun for 1, 2 melee, 3 indirect for an indirect. I should stop saying for one resource, but you get my point. And then a focus with 2 blanks. So after you activate this character, if any of this character's character dice rolled a blank, deal 1 damage to a character. So you have a 33% chance on 1 die, okay, of hitting the blank. And you have basically 66% chance. Is that right? Oh, shoot. I had done the math and now I'm forgetting. I believe it's 66% chance of... No, it would be 66. Let's just do it right now. It's 0.66 times 0.6. 0.66 times 0.66 is... So, okay, you have a 43% chance of missing. So you have a 57% chance of pinging. Okay, you have 57% chance of rolling at least one, which will trigger the ping. Okay, roughly 57. And then he's got some pretty good damage sides. So there's that. What I really like about this is I really like it's opening up. You know, we've seen kind of stuff like this on Saw Gerrera where there was a actual punishment for playing them elites, right? It's not a brand new concept, but it's really largely unexplored. This one I think is really inventive. I think it's a cool way to do it. With the 3 gun on there, Home Slice does look like he might potentially be resource intensive, but I think it's pretty good. 11 points for that. I think it's worth a resource. I usually use those early resources to buy a die, so I get it. Let's move on to the Pirate Snub Fighters. This is a 2-drop support vehicle. This is from, if you've seen the Ahsoka series, this is from like the Starfighter fight at the big ring thing. Okay, so 2 gun, 3 indirect for 1. It's a big, we've seen a lot of 3 indirect for 1s. Disrupt, 2 resource for 1 resource, a blank. Ambush, power action resolve, one of your dice showing a disrupt to turn a die to any side. That's kind of neat, right? You get a focus out of it. This is a pretty good little snub fighter, right? Pretty good little support. But we've seen a lot of other good supports. Do keep in mind this one's obviously yellow, so it might fit into a different build. This seems pretty good to me. And maybe I'm just like, in a great mood today, but everything I'm looking at seems really good. Next, Clarity of Purpose. So this is a hero, right? We're into the heroes now. Clarity of Purpose, 0 drop, ambush. Turn up to 2 of your dice, 2 sides showing a shield. You know who likes this? Sprinkler Luke. I wonder if that whole thing was an accident or not. No, this thing seems pretty good. Okay, so let's see what we can do with that. Now let's go to, you want to talk about good 2-drop supports. So this is Ahsoka Tano's T6 Jedi Shuttle for 2 gun, 2 shield, special blank. Your Ahsoka and Professor Huang have piloting. The special is heal 1 damage from a character or play a card with lightsaber in its title from your hand or discard pile, decreasing its cost by 1. So it's a functional resource or it's functional 1 damage. Okay? Not too shabby. This one seems pretty good. Good sides. This card seems bonkers to you. Seems bonkin to me. All right, whatever. Okay, so for 1, this is a 1, +1, +2, all melee, focus, +1 resource, blank. Upgrade equipment weapon. While this upgrade is on an apprentice or a non-unique blue character, you may resolve this die showing a modifier as if it were not showing a modifier. What? 1, 2, focus, resource, blank. Whoa. Can you imagine if Jarkai was still around? Oh. All right, here we have Tick. Doing my best Omega. I can't say Omega, but anyway, Tick. Anyway, this is Tech. 11, 14, 12. So we're starting to get some more of the team. Will there be another team member in this? Maybe. In the rest of the set is what I mean. So we have 2 gun plus 2 gun, 2 focus on Tech. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually, like in theme. So I appreciate that. Resource special and a blank. He has piloting, engineer trooper. We haven't seen a ton done with the engineer keyword over, the history of the game, but you never know. Power action, draw a card, then place a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Special, search your deck or discard pile for a red weapon or vehicle and play it, decreasing its cost by 1. If you searched your deck, shuffle it. So, that's really good. That's like really good. You can go tutor out what you need. Light for 1 less. Woo! Westar Blaster Pistol? Yes, please. Again, I know, rotation's a thing. All right. This is the A-Wing. I really like this. I like how they made the A-Wing a 1-drop. It would have been very easy to make it a 2-drop, keep it in line with a lot of the other fighters. I like it. Okay, so obviously, of course it needs to have ambush. The A-Wing should have ambush. It makes sense. So one gun, one indirect, disrupt, shield. I could have actually seen this having like multiple disrupt sides, again, to kind of like represent the nimbleness of the A-Wing and the speed of the A-Wing and how it's hard to hit. Basically, in every game, it's been represented by high maneuver or high speed and turning. You know, it's just the way we represent the A-Wing. It makes a lot of sense, right? Kind of like the TIE Interceptor. Right, so power action, spot another copy of the support to roll this die into your pool. So if you have an A-Wing fleet, they come at you hard. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Functionally, I mean, you know, weapon or vehicle. I mean, does tech pull the A-Wings? Maybe. I don't remember a lot of A-Wings in, Bad Batch, but hey, seems like good. It seems good. All right, now we go to Chewbacca. This one, I think this one's another doozy in its own way. Okay, so this is Chewbacca 14, 17 for 13. He's yellow now, right? So remember, Redemption, we lose the guard Chewbacca. We lose some of the guard support unless it's being reprinted. Okay, so we have 2 gun, 2 melee, 3 shield, resource, blank. Whoa. Guardian, so he maintains Guardian, piloting. After you activate a Scoundrel, if one or more of its dice just rolled a resource, place 1 charm token on a card in play. Right, so they're bringing charm in. There is still plenty of charm support within the legal sets. Power action, resolve 1 of your dice showing your resource as if it were showing range damage, increasing its value by 1. So that's almost like he can turn it into a 2-for-1. I mean, kind of. But you get my point, right? Because you're not taking the resource. So it's almost like he gets a free 2-for-1. Kind of, yeah. I think he's really good. We'll have to see with the Guardian how much, is there still options to use some of the Guardian stuff with reprint list? We'll have to see, as that develops. Okay. This one's interesting. So far away is a 3-4 plot. After you resolve a vehicle die, place 1 resource on this plot. Okay. Action resolve, remove 12 resources from this plot and set this plot aside. So this is, I think, where your A-Wing fleet's going to come in, like A-Wing, 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 A-Wing. You hope, right? But remove 12 resources from this plot and set this plot aside. Then spot a hero character to add a set-aside Ezra Bridger to your team. He gains the color blue. If this plot is elite, make him elite. I think I don't know. Seems like maybe stuff like this generally ends up being a meme type deck. But we saw, like, Watch Your Crew with great interest and stuff like that. We saw that work, so why not? Let's see how it fits in. And Ezra 70. Interesting. Right, here we have it. Stand Down. This is a 2-drop, so it better be freaking good. Especially because Power of the Tribe, reprinted, right? Right, so decrease the cost of this event by 1 for each different damage symbol showing on your dice. Remove a die. So this could very easily be free. Okay. More often, not always. Actually, I was going to say more often than not, it's 1. That's actually not true at all. Then actually, generally, this is probably 2, 1, or 0. No, but it's probably 2 or 0 in most cases. Maybe not. Yeah, actually, would you run it in like a piloting deck that's got a whole bunch of pew-pews? Because Dax reprinted. All right. This one is interesting. So the Z6 rotor, it's very much in line theme with some other cards we've seen in the past with like the repeating roll-ins, right? So this is a 3-drop Z6 rotary blaster, 2 gun, 2 indirect, a resource, a special, and then a special for an indirect with a blank. Again, that's very similar to some stuff we've seen before. After you play this upgrade, if it is on a trooper, you may roll this into your pool. Also something we've seen before. And then specials deal 2 damage to up to 2 different characters, which is nice that it's up to because we've seen stuff like this before. I think in the FFG days where you end up having to paying yourself in order to get value out of it or in order to be able to use it. Okay, so it's up to, which means that you're not friendly firing on this one. All right, so that ends it. Last, I just want to go back to this whole cycle here, but man, Moff Gideon looks bad. Man, looks really good. Looks really good. So we'll have to see how all of this. Again, he's a trooper, not like his die coming in with a night trooper. Man. And you know what's interesting actually about Enoch is because he gains the die. I actually don't know the rule on this. You can let me know below. Does that die? So like if say I kill Ahsoka, and Enoch gets Ahsoka's die, okay. Is that Ahsoka die then considered this die, like Enoch's die, for the purpose of night troopers? I don't know if it's considered this die or not. Interesting. Anyway, stew on that. One more week. So that's looking good. And go Commando.